All right, so we're back here on another special Overreaction Monday. We are here. We are here. Another Monday. Victory Monday for some of us. Some not Victory Monday. Raise your hand if it's a Victory Monday.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Hey, yeah, and also So yeah, man, definitely great show for you guys tonight. So we're gonna definitely dive into the Overreaction Monday. We'll talk about week 2 of the NFL season, overreaction style. So I'm gonna go around the horn. I'm gonna go with you first, Jerg. Well, first let me introduce everybody. What's going on, Jerg?
Nothing much. Nothing much. I was telling you before, Coach. Work flew by for me today, so
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was able to get home quick. I was like, you know what, Overreaction Monday. I got to make my comeback on this show. I got to come back here. Second show of Coach in less than a week. Let's get it.
Yeah. What's going on, Kenneth?
It's pretty shocking that all the NFC East fans said that they had a victorious Monday. So, shout out to us for getting some W's. We didn't have a lot of those last year, so that's a huge plus for us. Just going to be here for 30 minutes and then got to go take care of the Canadian election, serve my country.
Serve your country. Yeah. Rob, what's going on, Rob? Victory Monday, huh?
Yeah, we've been celebrating our victory for the last 4 days. It feels good. Hasn't gotten any older. Unlike Jerg, my work day did not go by fast. It was actually very slow. I was super busy and I had all my stuff planned out of what I had to do so I could leave on time. But I'm happy to be here.
What's going on, Thad? What's going on, T-Law? What up? What up, Thad?
Nothing but, I'm used to
You coming in low, Thad?
My fault. I'm used to this. It's been happening for about 17 weeks in a row, so I don't. I'm sorry. I'm used to it.
Hey, it's all good, Thad. What up, Mo? What's going on?
Hey, man, when I'm able to celebrate a victory Monday, it's always good against a quality team, too. Like, it's not like we played the Giants or somebody. Like, we can actually celebrate the win that we played. So, I'm all good, on this.
The Giants were playing against 11, 12, 13, 14. They were playing 11 on 15, basically.
Well, I wasn't throwing shade on Washington. More so as I didn't mean it. That came off really wrong. I just more meant
shots fired early.
That came off so bad, and I didn't mean it like that. I wasn't thinking about it.
Early.
That that came off bad, bro. I just meant we get this because Cowboys ain't had a quality victory. Like y'all are division champs, y'all get to celebrate y'all victories different. Like y'all beat the Giants, it don't matter. Like we finally beat a quality opponent. It matters to us. That's what I meant. I ain't my bad.
Yeah.
Then I take back what I said.
Yeah, my bad.
I didn't overreact on that one. I just kind of gave you a little side eye, but
it came off bad, but I didn't mean it like that. I really forgot y'all played the Giants, because that happened Thursday, so it's I'm not really thinking about that. Like I'm thinking about yesterday's games. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, y'all beat the Giants. Giants suck. We can all agree on that. Giants suck.
We got another one in the queue. Walker, another victory Monday. What's going on, Walker?
Oh, I didn't even enjoy yesterday. I just kind of turned the TV off and was like, whatever, this is stupid. I hate this. Yeah, but a victory Monday nonetheless, I guess.
Enjoy these wins. It's hard to win in the NFL and on the road too,
especially in Seattle.
Yes.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to win in Seattle. Walker though throwing tantrums, and then Derrick Henry in the second half gets going and looks like the once again the best running back in the league again.
Back to himself.
Don't forget, I fired the coach sometime early in the second half.
You did.
Yeah, you did. You could be Jelani and be 0-2 and looked bad against the Eagles, looked a little bit better, but still looked bad against the Bucks. A playoff team, according to some. The Falcons were a playoff team, according to some, and they're 0-2. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing that out there.
So, fellas, let's go around the horn. Week 2 takeaways. Walk, I'm going to go with you first. What are your week 2 takeaways?
That the Titans can't win a Super Bowl with Mike Vrabel coaching that team.
Jesus Christ. I'm not even going to talk about that.
Coming in hot, huh?
Yeah, so, there were a lot of moments yesterday that I felt and let's be for real, Seattle allowed them to get back into that game. And I felt like there are a lot of moments where Vrabel just completely mishandled that team. And it's just someone who doesn't really understand the modern form of football and the modern analytics, which suggests to go for or don't go for certain things. And I felt like there were a lot of opportunities where he could have made a different call, and that game didn't have to go to overtime. So, and I just think when it comes down to it in the playoffs, those types of decisions can win or lose games, and he seems to swing and miss on every single one of them. So, I watched that game and was just like, wow, that's a poorly coached team. So, but you could say the same about Seattle, 100 penalty yards in the second half alone. So, I mean, it just felt like we wanted it less. We wanted to lose. We just wanted to lose less than Seattle. So, we won.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, and take that victory. Right, Mo, what you got?
I mean, I guess the week 2 takeaway would be that, bro, the NFC West still looks like the best division in football, like we expected. I have to hang this one on the chin. The Seahawks were the first team to lose out the NFC West. So right now, everybody looks really good, saying that, Seattle might be the worst team in the best division, which wasn't a knock on Seattle. But everybody looked really good saying that right now. Seattle blew a big game. Could have been a statement game for them. But nonetheless, the NFC West looks amazing. I know San Francisco pulled out a win, and they didn't look great. They looked really good defensively. I know, like, offensive, it wasn't an exciting game, but a win's a win. Arizona pulled out, a really good win against a team that we'll talk about, or I know I'll talk about later on. And then, obviously, of course, the Rams being 2-0. Like, the NFC West is sitting right about where we thought they would be. One team has a loss, everybody else 2-0. It's still looking like the best division in football. So, I mean, the whole West Coast actually looks good. Just AFC West, NFC West. Like, the West Coast is looking really good in football when it comes to the NFL. So that's kind of my takeaway from week 2 right now.
Yeah. Dad, what you got?
My takeaway from week 2 is that the AFC West will finally have, the Chiefs will own the AFC West, but they'll finally have a true contender, somebody actually on their heels, giving them a little bit of problems, week 14, week 15. Even though the Chargers lost, they look pretty decent yesterday. I like what I see. The defense for Denver is as advertised, even though the Jaguars' offense is pretty basic so far. The Raiders, 2 tough wins against 2 playoff teams to start the season. So I just feel like one of those teams right now, I think it's the Chargers, but either the Chargers or the Broncos or potentially the Raiders are going to give the Chiefs some problems later down the line. And, they won't lock up the division like week 12 or week 11 like they usually do.
Yeah. Rob, what you got?
This might be the closest season of football we have ever seen. You look at a lot of the divisions, a lot of them are 1-1. AFC North, for example, everybody's 1-1. All the adults in the NFC East, they're all 1-1 right now. And obviously the NFC West, everybody's 2-0 except for the Seahawks, they're 1-1. So I mean, this might be the closest season of football we've ever seen, records wise, and how many playoff spots and positions are available going into week 17 and 18.
Yeah. Kenneth.
I think Carolina looks like a playoff team this year. That was my big takeaway. I mean, you look at that game against the Saints, the defense only gives up 7 points. Offense looks like they're rolling. Sam Darnold looks like he's having a career resurgence with Carolina. Overall, I'm just really impressed with them. They got a ton of weapons on offense. And, I mean, yes, they've played the Jets and a struggling Jameis, but, I mean, through 2 weeks, they've been really impressive on the defensive side, which we haven't been able to say since probably the Cam Newton MVP year. So I was just impressed by them a lot.
Yeah. Jared, what you got?
Kind of to just piggyback off of Mo's point a little bit, I just think the West Coast of the NFL this season has just seen some outstanding football come out of it. I'm gonna, go a little bit more into it on one of the topics down the line in the show. But I just truly believe like the West Coast teams this year, like the NFC and the AFC West, have a lot of talented teams, and I don't think we're 2 weeks in, right? So the sample size is still limited. But of the games we've seen so far, if you had to rank your own personal top 10 teams in the NFL, now my top 10 doesn't mean a damn thing because it's not Jeff's top 10. Jeff's is the official top 10 in the NFL world. But if I had to make a top 10 in my mind, at least half of them are coming from the AFC or the NFC and the NFC West combined. From what I've seen so far, not just based off of a record, but based off of how they're playing, the talent, like coaching decisions. The AFC and the NFC West are, you could argue, I know most said like the NFC West is the best division. I agree. Like you could just say the West in general has the best football that we've seen so far this season, and I don't think it's close.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Pat. Yeah. So I got a couple of them. Rookie quarterbacks. They always say, we knew days like this was going to happen, and this was the day for most of them. Definitely for the number 2 overall pick in Zach Wilson. Rough day at the office. 4 interceptions, and also T-Law. Sorry, Thad. He had a pretty bad game as well. Throwing 2 interceptions in that game, and we always know. They always say, "Mama said days are gonna be like this," and this what happened in week 2 of the NFL season for them. And then don't look now, but Mo, he put us on. He put us on to this Carolina Panthers team, and I started drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, that was me and Kenneth's. Me and Kenneth riding the Panthers train all year. As far as outside of my team, a team I think is going to be successful. I just like what the Panthers got going. Like you look at their offense, their defense is better than I thought they would be. Like they're playing like a unit. Matt Rule's been building his defense because he knows he's an offensive-minded coach. He's going to get the offense rolling. I think Sam Darnold is better than everybody thinks, or whoever doesn't think he's good. He's going to be a good quarterback. He looks good so far. So and CMC's healthy. Like that Panthers team is something to reckon with. And like I said they would be second, right along with Kenneth in the NFC South, and I think they'll split with the Bucs, and they'll be a playoff team. They're not going to win the division. I just don't think they're going to win enough games. But I mean, 10-7, 11-6 doesn't seem unrealistic, at least right now, for the Carolina Panthers the way they're playing.
Super easy win Thursday too.
Yeah, they'll be 3-0. Yeah, by the time Friday, they could be 3-0.
Thursday is as easy of a win as you can get in the NFL. You get a backup quarterback for a week who's a rookie, and you're pretty sure it's in Carolina.
It's actually in Houston. It's in Houston. Yeah, it's in Houston. But regardless, it can be
that line.
Right. It could be in one of my backyards.
Yeah, like you're going against a rookie quarterback who was drafted in the 3rd round. Like you're going against a 3rd round rookie. Like everything, as good as Houston has actually looked, like just like that, it's falling apart. Like Tyrod Taylor being gone and dinged up, at least for a month. Like any type of success that Houston had a chance of, the way they looked through the first 2 weeks, they'll have like none from here on out. Like they're about to be just as bad of a team as we expected them to be from here on out.
Which is good news. Great news.
Yeah, I bet on your end, absolutely.
I honestly thought they'd play Watson on Thursday.
Nah,
he's not playing.
He done.
They're not gonna do
it.
He
ain't playing. He ain't playing this year.
Shake everything, set the world on fire.
So, which 0-2 team is the most surprising to you? I'm gonna go with you first, Jared.
I gotta say the Minnesota Vikings, just for me personally. It's not like I had high expectations for them coming into the season. I didn't have them as a playoff team. But for them to start 0-2 the way they have, like the Arizona game, to be honest, that game's a coin flip. Like the Minnesota Vikings will either win that game or lose that game at the very last second. It just all depends on how it breaks. And per usual, it ends on a missed field goal for them in the waning seconds. So that part, like, I could kind of forgive him, but that Cincinnati game, it still rubs me the wrong way. It's still a stick in the craw to me as to one of the reasons why I wasn't that high on them going into the season, because they were going to lose a game like that, like a game that they should have won, that Kirk Cousins played pretty good. Like, you can't put that game on Kirk Cousins. You can't. So because of that, like, I am just surprised that it's Minnesota, because I didn't expect them to lose that kind of game week 1. Like, I'm expecting week 11, week 12, break the hearts of the fans late in the season. Don't suck out all the joy from them early. So I have Minnesota.
Yeah. Kenneth, who you got?
Honestly, it's Atlanta for me, and it's not. I'm kind of like Jerk. Like, I didn't have really high hopes for Atlanta, but like they've just looked awful through 2 games. I mean, that Philadelphia game, they put up 6 points. They've given up 80 points through 2 games. Like, we look yesterday, like, I mean, the score line doesn't really reflect it yesterday because you get the 2 late defensive scores. But, I mean, just overall, Atlanta looks like they're not going to beat many teams this year. I had them as a potential maybe snag that last wild card spot. Not anymore. Like, Carolina surpassed them. New Orleans surpassed them. They're probably the worst in their division, which I didn't think I would be saying this year. So Atlanta for me.
All right. Rob, what you got?
I mean, y'all kind of took my first two. I was definitely gonna say the
Sorry,
Vikings
Cruz.
just because
Sorry, Cruz.
You're in the middle of the
and again,
draft,
I
man.
didn't have a whole lot of
Options.
expectations for the Vikings, nor do I have options because the only other options for 0-2 teams is teams like the Jags, which we all expected. I'm gonna low key kind of say the Colts, just because the team that they have built around, not that they've built the team around Carson Wentz, but the team that they had even last season and the season before, they've been a really good team, like top to bottom, a well put together team. I know, and some people really thought Carson Wentz was that dude. And again, he's hurt, so nothing new there. It's just another season for Carson Wentz. But yeah, with the Vikings and Falcons already taken, I'm gonna say the Colts, just because I would think that team would have been able to pull out one of these wins.
Yeah. Thad, what you got?
For me, I'm gonna go with what Jerry said. The Minnesota Vikings. I know last year they went 6-10. They lost a lot of close games, and with all that talent on the offensive side, you would like to see it, result in some W's. They're still a solid team. Yesterday, I don't blame them for losing the game. It was on the kicker. He has one job to do, and it was like a 39-yard kick. That's a routine kick. So, and they were in the middle of the field, not even the right or left hash. So you got to make that. And then the overtime game against Cincinnati, they had that game in the bag too. So I'm surprised with them. I thought they were going to bounce back, and their defense was pretty bad last year. And Mike Zimmer being a defensive guy, I thought they were going to turn that around. But they've been okay. But I just feel like as a playoff team, you got to win those type games, and that's what they do, and they're 0-2. So when they should be 2-0. So I got the Vikings.
Yeah. Mo, what you got?
I mean, I'm right along. I was going, if Cruz didn't hit the Colts, I would have just took the Colts just to hit on a team that's 0-2. But mine is the Minnesota Vikings. It's not. They're a good team. First off, roster wise, the Minnesota Vikings are a good team. You look at their roster; they have a good roster. They are not great. They are not special. You might think that their expectation is to sneak in as a playoff team. They're not going to win their division, but they are a good team. Good players, playmakers everywhere. Top 3 running back. Wide receiver duo. Minnesota, you wouldn't be surprised if they were 2-0. They're sitting 0-2 with a loss to the Bengals. That shouldn't have happened. They kind of gave up both games. They had opportunities to win both games and lost them in a Minnesota fashion. In an opportunity to win the game, they don't win it. So that's why I'm surprised. I was a little bit higher on Minnesota than probably most, but I mean at best, I felt like they were a 7th seed playoff team. But they have a good roster. Offense and defense, they have playmakers everywhere you need to have playmakers at. Kirk Cousins is an average quarterback, nothing special, but with Justin Jefferson, Thielen, and Dalvin Cook, you should be able to get some wins that. You shouldn't be starting 0-2. Especially with the Bengals on your schedule and you're Minnesota, you're Kirk Cousins, you're playing against the Cincinnati Bengals. You shouldn't be 0-2 right now. And the fact that they are, the only reason why I wouldn't be I'm not surprised with the Colts is because they played 2 teams that are better. Just in my opinion, I'm with Cruz that I would have thought that the way they're built, they could pull out one of these wins. But I will look at it and be they did. To me, they lost to 2 better teams. I think the Seahawks and obviously the Rams. Most of us think the Rams are one of the better teams in the NFL. So that's why I'm not penalizing the Colts too much. But like Cruz said, Carson Wentz season once again. Bro, this is the first time in a long time. I don't know if I can ever recall a player who sprained both his ankles in a game. I haven't seen that one. I haven't seen it in a while. I'll put it that way. If somebody reminds me, then maybe I have. But, bro, spraining both ankles, I haven't seen that one. Especially at the quarterback position. I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, that's rough. I think my biggest one at 0-2, actually, Killer's point, the Atlanta Falcons, actually – I was one of the ones that looked at Atlanta as being a potential 10-7, a team that kind of can skate into the playoff. And like you said, their performance, especially against Philly, 32-6. Last night, that was going to happen. It is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It is the Super Bowl champion. But the Eagles put up 32 points on this team. And you just think to yourself, and even I know Thad was like, well, what about their defense, though? And Dad was right. That defense is atrocious at best. Instead, we talked about it in the NFC South preview, and it's just like you're saying, it's just another disappointing year in Atlanta, unfortunately. But yeah, and then also the Jerks point as well, Minnesota, those heartbreaking losses, and like you said, if you're a playoff team, you can't afford to have those type of losses, especially this early in the season, because it's almost to a point. Those are really two soul crushing losses. And then, did y'all hear the announcer for the Vikings who thought it was going in?
The radio
Bro,
guy. Yeah.
oh my God! I was like, oh my God, that sounds terrible. But hey, Rob, they need Dustin Hopkins last night.
What they needed to do was go up against that Giant defense that gave up all those extra chances.
Yeah, they needed Dustin Hopkins. So, fellas, this one is which 2-0 team is the most surprising for you? I'm gonna go with you first, Jerg. What you got?
I guess just because I hate to say it, but like I was kind of hopeful this team would like struggle out the gate because I'm so sick of their Chucky doll looking head coach.
Oh, you always taking mine.
Vegas, man, like how did they beat Baltimore? Like it's not even the fact that they're 2-0. Like at minimum, they should just be 1-1. Like I can sort of in a way see them beating Pittsburgh because for whatever reason, like ever since Bill Cowher was the coach, if you actually look at it season by season, Pittsburgh struggles against Vegas. I don't know why the Raiders in general. I don't know why the Raiders are Pittsburgh's kryptonite, but they are. They just are. I think like the last 7 times Pittsburgh's faced them, they're like 1-6 or something, or like even 0-7. They just struggle against the Raiders. I don't like so that I could kind of conceive. But especially after that Kansas City game, how the heck did the Baltimore Ravens lose that game to the Raiders? That was just an unacceptable defensive performance by Baltimore. And the Raiders, like, hey, look, all the credit in the world to them that they're 2-0 and they're currently tied for first in the division. Probably the latest in the season. They'll get to hold that because Kansas City is going to come back and take it real soon. But I mean, hey, good for Vegas, but it's not going to last long. We still have 15 more games. And if you're the Raiders, like, you hold on to that, hold on to that shine as long as you can, Raiders fans, because still this season, the best part about the team is the new stadium. It's not the actual football team themselves.
Yep. Like you said, they look good in September, but let me see him in December. Kenneth, what you got?
I mean, I've been this team's truther like for the past number of weeks, but even I didn't expect them to be 2-0, and that's the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, they beat 2 quality teams. Like, they beat the Titans and like blew out the Titans. It wasn't even a football game for the majority of it. And then they just found a way to win yesterday. Like Kyler, yeah, he's had 9 touchdowns through 2 games, but he threw 2 picks yesterday. They struggled early. They were down 21-7 at one point, but they just found a way to stay in the game. And yes, whether it's luck or whatever, they figured out a way to get the win. That's something that we didn't see Arizona do a lot of last year. It's part of the reason why I think they're going to be much improved this year is they're finding ways to win football games instead of lose them. So for me, it's just Arizona because I had them probably 1-1 at this point, if not 0-2, and for them to win both is pretty surprising.
Okay, Rob, what you got?
My most surprising 2-0 team, I'm gonna go with Tampa Bay. I'm just kidding.
What?
I think we all know the most surprising 2-0 team. Same division. It's got to be the Carolina Panthers. Obviously not to Mo. Mo has been calling this since, for the last 4 months since they grabbed Sam Darnold. But
I
just the way
love
they
that move,
look.
by the way. Yeah, I love.
I know you did, and so did I. I loved it for Sam Darnold because I'm a huge USC fan. I want to see Sam Darnold succeed. But just the way that they've looked, not just the fact that they're 2-0, they have looked great over these last 2 games, and I'm very excited to see what they do against Tampa Bay if they're able to do anything. Because again, that's the bar for the division now. Saints, we thought the Saints were maybe going to stay the Saints for 1 week after Jameis ate that dub last week, but then yesterday it was back to old regular old boy. Stealing crab legs from Publix, Jameis, is what we saw yesterday. So, so their litmus test is obviously going to be the Bucks in that division, and they just need to stay in stride with the way that they're playing right now. Joe Brady has that offense clicking on all cylinders. It looks a lot like what he was able to do with Joe Burrow at LSU.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Dad, what you got?
It's kind of tough with everybody taking your teams and going last, but I'm not even going to go. I was going to say the Panthers, but I'm not even going to do that. I have to copy Jerg again. I have to go with the Raiders. They beat 2 playoff teams back-to-back, to start the season off when they weren't favored in either of the games. And I just see that, people sleep on Derek Carr. They say this and that, but I take him as my starting quarterback. I think he's a franchise quarterback. He's not top 10, but he's a capable starter. He'll win you games, maybe a playoff game or 2 potentially. But I just feel like they're playing much better as a unit. They didn't even have their number 1 running back, and they relied all on the pass game, and they were able to go into Pittsburgh on the road and secure a nice dub. Their pass rush with Ngakoue and Max Crosby is much improved. Ever since they gave away Khalil Mack, it's been non-existent. Not saying it's top tier, but it's much improved. It's made a difference. So just overall, the Raiders, they've played well. 2 quality wins to start the season. I know they won't keep it up because, after Thanksgiving they fall off, but for now they look pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. Mo, what you got?
I'm just going to bring up, the other 2-0 team that's not in the NFC West because I don't think any of us are surprised any of them are 2-0. I mean, I guess Arizona a little bit just because they had some 2 tough games, to be honest, like Kenneth said. But I'm going to bring up the Denver Broncos. Look at their schedule. I'm not surprised they're 2-0. They going into the matchup, Trevor Lawrence will be the better quarterback when it's all said and done over Teddy Bridgewater. But going into both matchups, they've had the better quarterback at Teddy Bridgewater. They've had the better defense, and they've had the better coach, which goes to show, like, we don't know, like Fangio's job was on the line. Like, he was in the hot seat coming into the season, making the right quarterback move with either Bridgewater or Locke. Like, this would be a make or break season with him. So for him to go into his first 2 games and be looked at as the better coach, that goes to show how easy they've had it up to this point. But they've delivered. They've answered. They've delivered. They could have coughed up a game that they were supposed to win both games. They could have coughed up a game. They didn't. They did what they were supposed to do. So the Broncos being 2-0 is just one of those. They're as good as we expect them to be, and at least they're about as good as we thought they'd be. Even if they're top of the bottom tier at worst, like they're going to be better than the bottom tier of teams. But Teddy Bridgewater he's a feasible starting quarterback. He can win you some games. Von Miller said it. There hasn't been that fire since Peyton Manning's been there. Not saying that Teddy Bridgewater is Peyton Manning, is just the fact that, like, they haven't really had a guy back there at quarterback that they believed in and the team has bought into since Peyton Manning, and they're having that feeling. Von Miller, to say that, having that feeling with Teddy Bridgewater is just showing the ultimate respect and how much they got love for him and how good they think he is. Not saying he's Peyton Manning, but just saying ever since they've had Manning, they've yet to have a quarterback that they're buying in and thinks they could lead them to any type of promised land. So, I mean, we'll see how Denver looks. Their defense looks amazing, but, I mean, you did play Daniel Jones, and then you played a rookie quarterback in week 2. So you were just able to take advantage of it, but we'll see. Obviously, they're in the AFC West. The AFC West, the whole West Coast as a whole is looking good. They're going to have to play against Derek Carr twice. They're going to have to see Patrick Mahomes. We know that. So we'll have to see how they look moving forward, but it's just a team like Denver could have gave it up, be 1-1 and 0-2, and you wouldn't be surprised. But them actually doing what they were supposed to do and being 2-0 with a coach on the hot seat is good for Denver.
Yeah, man. Denver, like I always say, Denver is the Washington football team of the West. But I had them kind of picked high as well. And like you said, I can say other teams, San Francisco, even though they had 2 road victories at 1:00 Eastern Standard Time, 10 a.m. body clock games. That's cute and all, but let's just be real. It's the Oakland Raiders at this point. 2, like Thad said, 2 wins against 2 playoff caliber teams. And then you think about it, one is coming off of Monday Night Football, an emotional, gut-wrenching game like that, and then having to go east for a 1:00 game. That's another thing that's very interesting. And like you said, shout out to Cruz boy, Derek Carr at Fresno State.
All right, Fresno State,
stand up. But he's answering his critics, what he's doing at this point. And Darren Waller is as a premier tight end at this point. I mean, you think about this, all the targets he's got already in this season, and then you're saying like also Josh Jacobs. That was the biggest concern for us when we did see you Sunday. We thought that was kind of one of the biggest disadvantages Oakland would have had. Las Vegas had in that matchup against the Steelers, man. Like you said, and all they did was just sling the football and just and they did their thing. But yeah, most definitely.
So real quick, just for the Raiders, like with Gruden, do you not think he's the most frustrated person in the NFL world right now? Because we know for the past couple of years, Derek Carr has not been we know he has not been the biggest Derek Carr fan. Brought Marcus Mariota in, hoping that Derek Carr would stink just enough to put Mariota in. They've been just good enough not to be able to draft a top quarterback. And now Derek Carr right now is looking amazing to the point, let's just say he keeps up this play all year. John Gruden is either going to have to learn how to fall in love with Derek Carr or trade him, but then that could backfire and make him look bad because all of us are look like Derek Carr is a quality starter. He's good with the Raiders, but I think John Gruden's got to be the most frustrated person in the NFL because we know he was never been in love with Derek Carr. And so to see Derek Carr prove hey, you better keep me and have Raiders start backing up Derek Carr that just sucks for John Gruden. I know he's frustrated about it.
Yeah. And the thing about it is, even if he trade him away, he's already did collateral damage as far as getting rid of Khalil Mack, Amari Cooper, and those guys. So, and the thing with him, he's going to be there for the next 5-6 years.
Yeah,
I forget how long his contract is.
His job is locked. They gave him a $100 million contract as a coach. And
that's 10 years. Yeah,
the Raiders are a cash poor team. This is known. Davis, I forget his first name at the moment.
Mark Davis.
Mark Davis. He is he's one of the owners. I think he's the main owner in the NFL. When other owners know, he's not rich like the other guys. He's not nowhere near Jerry Jones. Nowhere near he's just not nowhere near that level. They had to take out significant loans for the new stadium. So
that could be Mark Davis broke.
He could do what he wants. John Gruden could do what he wants. If he feels like trading Derek Carr here soon, not more power to him as good. I want him to more power to him as he has all the right to. He has all the sway. Ain't no one gonna fire him there.
No, and that's the thing because he's locked. He can do anything at this point. Unfortunately, that But let's see.
We'll take him in DC to DC. Let's go.
Hey, Derek Carr in Washington I ain't gonna lie, that'd be
at this point, any of the other 31 quarterbacks starting quarterbacks in the NFL, Washington would be.
We got hashtags for everybody. We want Russ to come home.
Heineke's not a bad. I mean, yeah, if I wanted, if I could get a top 5 quarterback and I don't have one, then yeah. But Heineke's not bad. Bro, every time I've seen him play, he's impressed me as far as bro, he's good. He will probably never be great. He will be at best a middle of the pack quarterback. But if you think about it, middle of the pack is Kirk Cousins all over again. Is that bad? That's not. You always want better, but if having a Kirk Cousins right now, that's not bad. In a weak division, right now, you could win a division with Heineke. No other division can say that.
We already got our T-shirts. We want rings.
I got my division championship sweater.
We want rings.
I want a Super Bowl. I want a Super Bowl.
Baby steps.
You need a better quarterback for the Super Bowl.
Baby.
That's what we're talking about, Jared.
I believe you guys. My thing with the point that Mo is trying to make here is that I hate people trying to prop up these middle tier quarterbacks and try to why are we being nice to these guys? Yes, it's an issue to have Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins has 0 career playoff wins. I don't want Kirk Cousins on my team.
He got one. He beat the Saints.
One more than all 5 of us combined. Okay.
Right.
Perfect.
But my point is, Heineke is good. We've seen him in 3, maybe 4 games, if you count the Carolina game last year. As of right now, what we've had for the last 20 plus years, yes, Heineke looks good. Do we know if he's a future? We don't know, because again, this is essentially let's call it what it is. It's essentially a rookie quarterback going into his second year. Very limited film. He has tons of weapons around him. And again, very limited film. I say it all the time about rookie quarterbacks who do great their first year, and then they got the sophomore slump because now defensive coordinators have that film. They can go and watch them. They can figure out what makes them tick. Then they can go after him. Same thing with Heineke. Right now, yes, Heineke looks great. On Thursday night, I was all in on Heineke. I even said on our show on Friday, we found QB1. It's now Monday evening. I'm kind of pumping the brakes a little bit on that because we don't know.
My only thing that I would say with this is here would be y'all's problem, and then we don't. But y'all's problem would be you're not getting, unless you drop the bag, and I'm talking draft picks, and you drop the future on a quarterback. Y'all aren't getting a top quarterback. Y'all's roster. That's why I'd always felt like y'all should trade it up for Justin Fields or Mac Jones, only because y'all's roster is playoff caliber. So therefore, like, the best you'll get is what? 15 or 16? Maybe if y'all miss the playoffs, you'll be like at 15 or 16. And that'll be because y'all will be one of the last ones out or first ones out in the playoffs. So you're never going to get a top tier quarterback, at least for the next 3 to 4 years with the roster built right now. Like, y'all have a playoff roster and could win the division. So y'all are like stuck in the middle, and you either hope Heineke works or you hope like Deshaun Watson gets cleared and you could drop the bag and everything else on a trade for him, or drop it for Russell Wilson when he's unhappy. But you're waiting for an unhappy star quarterback, or you're hoping Taylor Heineke hits only because of the fact like the rest of y'all's roster is too good to tank for anybody. And there's not a quarterback in this class right now I'm taking for anyway. There's not a quarterback in this class next year that I pray is the answer. So that's also another thing, is that puts off another year of really wanting a quarterback, because there's really not a quarterback I want to be the worst team in the NFL for this year. But that's just my opinion.
If John Gruden doesn't like Derek Carr, he's not going to be asking for 6 assets, players and draft picks combined. He might let him go for a first and a third, or 2 firsts and a third. He's not gonna require a whole lot.
He ain't gonna be 6, but Carr ain't gonna come cheap. Like, quarterbacks being traded ain't like, he's got more value than Carson Wentz. Like, he's gonna require more value than Carson Wentz.
2 number 1,
not as much as the one Deshaun Watson though.
But I mean, Deshaun or Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson will cost you the bag, the truck, and everything else. But Derek Carr will probably cost you 2 firsts, a third, and a 5th at the least. That's what I'm asking for if I'm trading Derek Carr right now. But I'm just saying, it's still, you giving up the next 2 first-round picks. Like, what if Derek Carr ain't the answer? Like, what if all he gets you is a playoff win? Now you're like, we got a playoff win, but we still not close to the ring. Like, that's what I'm saying. You'll have to give and take. Like, yeah, I'll take Derek Carr to be better. But, like, even Derek Carr, you still don't have the best quarterback in the division at that point, though. So it still would be one of those, like.
No, but then you can argue we have the best up-and-down team top to bottom.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I won't disagree with that.
As a fan, you want to see your brass go and make those kinds of moves. Like, do we really think that Ron Rivera and Jason Wright believe Heineke is the next Brady? No, I don't think they believe that. They might say it because obviously Ron Rivera's in the locker room. He doesn't want to go out there saying, yeah, I don't think my quarterback's really that dude. I don't think we can win long term with him. Yes, they're going to say it. They're going to say it to the media. They're going to say it to us. But if you have a chance to give up 2 number 1s and a couple mid-round picks with the team that we have built right now, you don't have to give up any current assets. The team we have built right now, you pull that trigger, you say, hey, yes, Derek Carr may not be a top 10 or top 5 quarterback, but he's in that top 12 to 15 range. That's enough to get us over the hump. We need our defense. Yeah. Obviously, we have other things we need to work on, but you at least want to see them make those moves.
Okay, yeah. So we got another guest in the building. What's going on, JP? We got you. All right.
We're not going to spend any time talking about Kirk Cousins anymore.
I'm just going to say we're going to fire our kicker today. I'm just going to go off the record. God, man, that game pissed me off, man.
Yeah. So what we're gonna do? We're gonna do biggest winner of week 2. I'm gonna go with you first, Thad. What you got?
Biggest winner for me is the Baltimore Ravens. I kind of feel like they finally got over the hump, even though I don't feel like they're better than the Chiefs. You know, the Chiefs were their kryptonite. Patrick Mahomes was Lamar Jackson's kryptonite. They couldn't get past them as a top AFC team, and they finally got over the hump. You know, not having they have an entire new backfield. Their left tackle, Ronnie Stanley, was out. we all saw what Max Crosby did to Villanueva last week. So it just didn't look too good going into the game. I put a lot of money on the Chiefs, and Baltimore battled back from adversity. You know, Lamar started – his first drive was bad, missed a throw to Hollywood, then threw a pick six, then threw another bad pick in the end zone. So, and, you know, in recent years, you'd see them potentially maybe get blown out. But for them to be down double digits and battle back and, you know, get the stops, the timely stops when they needed it, I just think it was a good win overall. And for them to be able to the rookie from Penn State, to make that play, that was a big-time play. Because I thought when they didn't get that two-point conversion, I thought the game was over. Andy Reid was going to milk the clock out. They were playing it perfectly. But that fumble just cost them the game. So, overall, I just think the Ravens, you know, this win put them in a good place because they were already chasing the Browns, in my opinion. So they needed this win to catch up.
Yeah, big time. Rob, what you got?
I'm gonna go with Mo's boy out in Chicago, Justin Fields. I think him is the perfect storm, and it sucks when players have to come in because other players get injured. But the first time around with Andy Dalton getting hurt, Justin Fields comes in, plays well. I think they pulled him to put Andy Dalton back in. And then I don't know exactly why they pulled him. I don't know if he got hurt or if he was just playing like Andy Dalton plays. But then I think Fields went back in and he played great. He played well enough to get the win. I think this is the beginning of the end for Andy Dalton, not just in Chicago, but I truly think his career in the NFL is done.
JP, what you got?
As much as I want to praise Derek Carr, Lamar Jackson, Baltimore, I'm going to give Sam Darnold as the biggest winner because Carolina's looking good at 2-0, going against the Jets, you know, with Zach Wilson still struggling, and then beating the Saints after the Saints destroyed the Green Bay Packers last week. Sam Darnold came in comfortable, got weapons around with Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson. So Carolina's looking really good, and they're sitting at 2-0, and we never would think that Carolina would be 2-0 right now. So I'm going to give Sam Darnold all his due.
Yeah. All right. Mo, what you got?
I'm going to go the same route as Thad, but I'm calling out an individual. Lamar Jackson. To me, out of everybody at every team that won the game, every player that played well, if Lamar Jackson lost this game yesterday, he started off throwing 2 picks. If Lamar Jackson ends that game in a loss, none is forgiven on any mistake that he made. And he would today have been the most scrutinized player in football. And he would have been one of the most scrutinized players we've seen in a while when it comes on the football field. For the simple fact, bro, like he wasn't able to get over the hump. They would have lost to the Raiders and the Chiefs at that point. They're 0-2. The stat that stands out to me is teams that start 0-2 miss the playoffs 86% of the time. So now in the AFC North, another good team with the Steelers or another good division with the Steelers and Browns in there now tells me that the odds are against me to really make the playoffs with Lamar Jackson. He's a running back who can throw the ball a little bit narrative goes up even more. Cruz with his hot take looks even better if they lose that game. That Lamar Jackson will not be like it starts becoming realistic. I said it after last week that like there's some lights on what Cruz said with Lamar Jackson maybe not being a starting caliber quarterback. He said this last year in 5 years max, to put the long term. But there was some light shed on that. Put a little bit in the dark against how he played with the Chiefs, depending on how you want to pick it apart. Because he's not what you expect in a quarterback per se, but he just makes plays. That's what he does. He can do it with his arm. He can do it with his legs. He can make plays. He's going to make some mistakes along the way, but that's just we saw it with Vic. We saw it with some Cunningham. These guys that can move, they're going to make some plays, and they're going to make some wow you plays. They're going to make some mistakes on the way. But Lamar Jackson is the biggest winner only because he would be the absolute biggest loser had he lost that game.
Exactly. That's how I feel.
Yeah. Jared, what you got?
I have the Buffalo Bills because I think just them overpowering the Dolphins in that game is one thing. With Tua now being hurt and Jacoby Brissett having to come in, it's another situation where Jacoby Brissett, he's going to have to learn on the fly, how to get this chemistry down with these guys, how to work with them. So the Dolphins, they're going to have a little bit of the next 2 to 3 weeks for the Dolphins is going to be a struggle. And then I looked at the Patriots schedule actually earlier. Now, some of these games are kind of up and down because it all depends on how good these teams really are. But their next 3 of their next 4 games, their opponents are the Saints. Depends on if Jameis Winston has his eyes or not in it. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Dallas Cowboys. So that's 3 pretty good. So you could argue playoff caliber teams if you want to throw the Saints in there if you were really on the Jameis hype train in week 1 that the Patriots are going to have to face. And then you go a little bit past those games. Down the road, they have to deal with, in 3 consecutive games, it's the Chargers, the Panthers, and the Browns. That's the Patriots. That's what they have to deal with. So because of that, because the Bills got this win, they looked a lot more like the team that we saw last season. The Dolphins, young, promising QB is injured. The Patriots are going to have a tough month and a half or so, with save for a calm game here and there, aka the Texans and the Jets. The Bills have the opportunity here to build a pretty solid lead. It wouldn't surprise me, honestly, if the first division we see have a little bit of breathing room in it this year is the AFC East and the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, absolutely. My biggest win has got to go to the Tennessee Titans. What they did yesterday was very impressive. Obviously, they was down 24-9. End up coming back, winning that football game. Interesting stat: Seattle Seahawks, when they have a 15-point lead at home, was 52-0. And they now 52-1. Derrick Henry, he showed once again that, hey, I'm still King Henry. Y'all thought y'all was gonna shut me down at a little measly 600 yards last week. No, I'm back. They had a combined 237 yards combined, and I'm back. And you just look at now, and even in the catching game, he did pretty well. I think he had 55 yards receiving. So you look at that situation. And Tennessee was almost facing a dire situation, being 0-2. Because I definitely thought that game that they were facing at 0-2, they would have been the 0-2 surprising team. But they pulled out that victory. And like you said, like Rob said earlier, it's hard to win in Seattle. We know, as Washington football guys, it's tough. Our seasons have ended in that place several times. But it's a tough place to win, and definitely the Tennessee Titans, the biggest winner this week, in my personal opinion. So we talk about the winners. Let's talk about the losers.
Let's talk about it.
Dan, who the biggest loser this week?
This is not really a big one. I just feel like, I don't know why, I don't even care about this team that much. The Falcons, I feel like it's worse than I thought it was going to be. I like Kyle Pitts, but I was like, they didn't improve their defense at all over the course of the offseason, and it showed. They lost their first 2 games by 52 points. The Eagles' offense wasn't that good to me, and I didn't overreact to Jalen Hurts' performance in Week 1 because it was the Falcons' defense. But just overall, they just looked terrible as a team. They had a nice little comeback against the Bucs, but that quickly got shut down, and they just don't look like they can compete. They can't keep up on the defensive end. And Matt Ryan's slowing down. He's been my guy for a long time, but I would say maybe this year and maybe next year, and that's about it. They just can't keep up. They can't stop anybody. They can't keep up. They don't get much pass rush. It's just not looking good, and they don't have much cap space. I just don't know where they're going to go. It's just biggest losers so far to start the season, and they have no hope so far. And Jelani, I don't even know why he –
that one for you. That was earlier, but I just want that was convenient.
You have to bring it back up. It's only after call.
Bring it back up. Yeah, to bring it back. That was early. That was like when we first started. But I just thought it was kind of funny that, like you said, the team I don't care about.
No, they're terrible. I had the Lions and the Eagles as the worst 2 teams, and they might replace them by the end of the year. So
when are we going to get the 30 for 30 of just the complete collapse of the Falcons ever since 28-3 happened? They're I don't think anything in society has collapsed that badly since Rome. Yes. That's how bad it's been since that Super Bowl.
That was rough.
It's bad.
Yeah, and we're almost 5 years in it, which is scary. It's it's never going to end. Rob, who your biggest loser this week?
So I got 2. My first one, sorry that I'm gonna go Jacksonville, and here's why. Because Urban Meyer, for the first time in his head coaching career, has a losing record at any point in the season. He's realizing that the NFL is a lot harder to win in. I don't care who you have at quarterback. It's a lot harder to win in the NFL than it is in college, because you don't get to go through the country and pick what players you want. And he was at Ohio State. Anywhere he went, that's where players wanted to go. Bowling Green, Utah, Florida, and definitely Ohio State. He got his pick of whatever quarterback, whatever receiver, D-line. It doesn't matter. He got them. He's realizing, oh man, this ish is hard. And you know what job just opened up over here on the left coast?
USC.
USC.
Make a lot of sense, bro.
the
It make
job
a
he's
lot
been
of
eyeing.
sense.
That's a job he's been eyeing, and they've been eyeing
Since
him.
he left
There's
Ohio
like
State.
USC and Urban Meyer is like those two people who like each other, but the timing never adds up because one of them is always in a relationship at the wrong time.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Urban
perfect.
Meyer's like, you know what?
Yep.
Yeah, Jacksonville's cool. She's not that cute though. It's humid over here. LA has beautiful weather.
Yeah.
Like, let me go ahead and slide into her DMs real quick. See what she'd be talking about. So I think this is honestly Urban Meyer's one and only year in the NFL. I think he's gonna resign. I think he's gonna be head over to USC next season.
I said that last week.
Yeah.
I said that same thing last week. I was
Yep.
right there after losing to Houston. I felt like that was a bad loss. Yeah, I felt like that Houston was a bad loss. That was just a bad outlook for somebody in their first game. And Trevor Lawrence, who still, it doesn't look like Urban Meyer's a great coach in the NFL, and a lot of college coaches have to figure that out. And I think USC's open. I can see Urban Meyer saying, you know what, screw this. Like, let me go make USC great again for a couple of years. Tell him I got a headache, dip, and be done coaching for the rest of his life. Like, I could see that happening.
Yep.
And he would be the king of LA. And surprisingly, even with the success of the Chargers and the Rams, he will be the king of LA.
Oh yeah.
And
bro, if he make USC great,
he
make USC great, bro, it's a wrap. Like USC, the jerseys are coming back out. Everybody rocking Trojans colors and Lakers jerseys in LA. That's all you're gonna see is maroon and gold, purple and gold. That's all you're gonna see in LA if USC is great again.
Yep.
Yeah.
But my other loser going from one potential future USC coach to the last one that did us dirty, Pete Carroll in Seattle. I think Seattle is probably the biggest loser. The way they lost, like you said, Coach, they were 52-0 prior to yesterday when leading by at least 15 points, either at halftime or some point through the second half. That collapse to a team that we don't know. We can say they're a good team. They're a playoff caliber team, but just the way they've looked the first 2 weeks, do we really think they're going to make another deep playoff run the way they did 2 years ago? Jerk's already shaking his head. I don't think they will. So for them to lose like that, and on top of all that, like we've been talking about all offseason in the best hands down division in the league, to start out 1-0 or 1-1 when the rest of the division is already 2-0, and I get it, they're only half a game back, but that's not. We're not talking about the AFC East over here or the NFC East over here. We're talking about powerhouses top to bottom. You can't afford to give up games like that. You can't afford to lose your placing in those standings within that division.
Yeah, big time. JP, what you got?
I'm just going to go off my Vikings kicker. Nah, I'm just kidding. I just let him. I just let him live for another day, though. But like Thad said, Leonard has been really disappointing. You got that offense, with and Matt Ryan's just slowing down. That curse of Atlanta, it's like something's just like bad in the water. Just the atmosphere is just bad. Like T.I. and Future and Ludacris is just like, what's going on in Atlanta right here? It just seems like Matt Ryan got his MVP trophy and Thanos was like, that's all you're gonna get, and just snapped his fingers, and they just look so terrible. Like I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Losing to Jalen Hurts, and Jalen Hurts had a game of his life, then just come back and then lose yesterday. It's just disappointing just to watch them play, because you got Calvin Ridley, you got all that. It's like, dang, they really miss Julio Jones that badly? Like, do you miss Julio Jones that badly? So Atlanta for me just been so disappointed, man. I'm with that on this one.
Yeah, big time. Mo, what you got?
So I'm about to go against the grain. It's Overreaction Monday. We have to have a big time overreaction. So I'm going to do it. I did it last week saying that Jalen Hurts looked like a quality NFL starter. And he still do. I'm still on the train. He's fine. Like I'm okay with where Jalen Hurts at. I didn't say he's a top 10 quarterback or nothing like that. I think I said like 15 to 17 range. But either way, Josh Allen's the biggest loser, bro. In a win, he's the biggest loser, bro. I'm sorry. 2 weeks in a row, a $300 million quarterback has looked bad, bro. Josh Allen has not looked good in the past 2 weeks. He throws 50 pass attempts last week against Pittsburgh and only doesn't even get you 300 yards. Everybody like, hey, when Dak threw for 50 pass attempts, he better have got you 400 something yards. He threw the ball 50 times. Like the expectation with Dak throwing the ball that much was he better have gotten you 400 yards. He's a $40 million quarterback that threw 50 times, like 200 something yards and 1 touchdown last week, 30 of 51 last week, 270 yards and a touchdown was his stats last week. That's a $300 million quarterback. This week, 17 of 33. Doesn't even give me 200 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick against 2 really good defenses. What do we, when we talk about high-paid quarterbacks, what do we expect? We expect them to look good against the quality teams, right? Like we'll kill Dak. And you know, I've been one too, but we'll kill Dak for, well, he looks great against bad teams, but a $40 million quarterback never shows up against good teams. And I'm with you, but like, let's hold Josh Allen to that standard. Bro, this man just got paid $300 million or almost $300 million, and he does not look he looks like a shell of himself. He looks like the year before last Josh Allen, and he was getting better, and I'm not saying he can't get better, but to say after 2 games you're looking at Josh Allen and you think against 2 good defenses, so you can say that as a positive. Well, these are 2 of the best defenses he's going to play all year. He'll look fine now, but when you don't look great against your top-tier quarterback and you don't look great against top defenses, then what does that make you? Like Amari Cooper, another guy, Dallas guys, look really great when he's not playing Marshawn Lattimore, Jalen Ramsey, Stephon Gilmore. He beats up on, the 3rd-string corner in Philly. He beats up on the back, the cornerback 2 in New York. But when he plays against them top-tier corners, he doesn't look good. Which therefore means when you're not performing against the top talent, you're not looking like the money that we paid you. I'm just saying, Josh Allen he's a loser. Like, for what he's done, he's got to be a big loser, even in a win. I'm on the individual train in the same way that everybody would have killed Lamar Jackson. Hey, he lost that game. It's going by because of what some of the great things other teams have done and some of the disappointment that other teams have been. That Josh Allen, 2 bad performances in a row after being it's like 270, 280, 300 million if he hits incentives, and he doesn't look like a $300 million quarterback. He really doesn't. He absolutely does not look like what he's being paid right now.
Well, I hope you say that again next Monday as well. I hope. I pray at this point, man. You say that next week as well. Jerk, what you got?
So Cruz got his revenge because Seattle was going to be my main loser. I do have another loser. But I just want to continue off of Cruz's point. Like, I know it's early. Like, again, like it's kind of funny. Whenever I come on the show, I always find it funny because I am like the least entertaining overreaction person ever. But I think when it comes to the NFC West, every single game matters in that division if you want to have the guaranteed playoff spot of being the division champion. And I think Seattle falling the earliest of the 4, that's not a good thing for them, because while some of us may say that we were surprised that Arizona ended up taking the 2 W's, let's be real here. Kyler Murray is putting on some outstanding performances. Yes, he had the 2 interceptions against Minnesota, but he has looked like I said this before. I said this earlier, like in the week. Kyler Murray is looking like what Lamar Jackson should be at this point, which is we know he can make plays with his legs, but the arm is now there. We saw what happened to Arizona when he got hurt last year. They fell apart. A healthy Kyler Murray is literally the engine in Arizona. So for Seattle to lose that game early to Tennessee, and they literally had everything. They had the lead. Like you said, Coach, the 15-plus point lead in the 4th quarter. They had the lead. They have the quarterback who can close out that kind of game too, which is confusing. And they got, and I hate overanalyzing stuff, but they had the calls too, man. Like, they got lucky on some of those calls. They got gifted. So Tennessee honestly could have won that game in regulation had the Julio Jones touchdown called indifferent. So, like, Seattle got lucky there. And they still could have won the game, and they should have, but they didn't. And that is an issue for them early on this season, because you want to talk about schedules coming up. They face Minnesota, which because of the game Minnesota just had against Arizona, like, which version of the Vikings are we going to see? Time will tell. But their next 2 games after Minnesota is San Fran and it's Los Angeles. Ooh. Like, essentially in the first month of the season, your fate in the division could be decided, because if you lose both of those games, even if you win the Minnesota game, if you come out as 2-3, but those losses are against San Fran and LA, why should we have any kind of confidence in you that you can even have a puncher's chance in the division? Because it's the NFC champions from 2 years ago, and the Rams were the NFC champions from even 3 years ago, who now have a better quarterback. Because Matthew Stafford, phenomenal so far in LA. He's looked amazing. So Seattle is definitely like one of the true losers of this week. But like I said, I kind of have a second one just to be a little bit diverse here. Tyrod Taylor, man, I just feel so bad for him. I just feel so bad.
It is.
This is the fourth straight team. This is the fourth straight team where a situation has happened where he is benched and most likely, you know, I hate to say it, I mean, he'll probably get the job back because Davis Mills isn't really that impressive to this point. But is he really going to be in Houston after this year? Like, at Buffalo, they sat him for Nathan Peterman. My God. Cleveland, they benched him in that Jets game. Baker Mayfield comes in, wins it. He go from there.
He got hurt, though.
True, but still, I think even had he not gotten hurt, I think you still could have argued benching him in that one because they should have beaten the Jets a little bit more handily. But nonetheless, the Chargers, they take essentially like a golf club to his ribs. That's essentially what that was. Let's be real here. Like the most medical malpractice I've ever seen there. How do you accidentally puncture that dude with the syringe? Come on, man. And now this year, another injury. You feel bad for the guy. And it's Davis Mills. And this is...
Well, looking good, too. That's the thing. He looked good. Yeah. Up to this point, Tyrod Taylor looked really good. Yeah. Like, and ends up getting hurt.
And Tyrod Taylor has played well everywhere he went. He did very well in Buffalo. He's led them to the playoffs for the first time in however long. Right. Cleveland, he looked really good. And I said this in the group chat when I think Mo posed a question, what's the conversation on Tyrod Taylor at this point? Back in 2018, when they had the number one pick, I was very adamant, I was very vocal that they should have taken Saquon at 1 and Bradley Chubb at 4 because they had Tyrod Taylor. I have always been a believer in Tyrod Taylor ever since his days in Buffalo.
Yeah, and he just gets screwed over again.
Yeah,
and I mean, the solace is this is only going to be the second worst quarterback that's ever taken over for him because he can't get worse than Nathan Peterman if you're Davis Mills. So
This is terrible. Yeah,
when he took over for Tyrod Taylor, didn't he throw 4 picks the next game in Buffalo? 5
in the first half, and then they put Tyrod Taylor back in, and so it's like,
hey, my God, he lost his spot the next game, bro, or like he took it over, and then in the next game lost his spot in the half. Like,
And then the irony of it all is this happened in week 2, like last year. Remember week 2 that happened about the puncture lung situation. Yeah. And then get this. He gets hurt against Cleveland. This is supposed to be a revenge game for him.
The revenge game.
Which I'm pretty sure that he got hurt in Cleveland with Cleveland. I'm pretty sure that was week 2 as well.
Yeah, I think it was because they were
Thursday night game,
because they've been talking about the week 2 jinx. It's like a week 2 jinx with Tyrod Taylor right now.
And
that sucks. Like the Madden curse then went away, and now like Tyrod Taylor has like a week 2 curse. Like I guess like maybe from here on out you got to treat Tyrod Taylor, bro. He just doesn't play in week 2 no more.
I was gonna say
like no matter who he plays for,
if he's not playing on the roster next season, I'm just benching him in week 2. Like not because of Danny, but because like this is for you. I'm doing this for your health.
Mental management. Mental management.
Load management. Load management. Yeah. We're gonna load manage Tyrod.
He's gonna be more of a mental, so he won't get my biggest lose got to be the Miami Dolphins. Especially losing to a division opponent like that, 35-0. It's almost like the Buffalo Bills have them. They own them. I mean, you look at just even going back to the season finale last year where they got blown out, and then add injury to the end zone. No pun intended. But the injury with Tua, even though it's a rib injury, people say that he could come back, but it's ribs. Ribs are touch and go. You can have it's gonna linger, and that's another thing where you just hoping. And I look at the Miami Dolphins team as a team that was on the cusp of making the playoffs, and now you're just looking at just the situation of what's going on in the AFC East, where you look at the Patriots. Not saying that they're still legitimate. The Patriots are still legitimate. We know the Jets are horrible at this point. The Jets are going to be the team that's going to be somewhat fun to watch, but they're not going to win on the field. But so Buffalo, not Buffalo, but Miami, they losing like that to a divisional rival is just it's gut wrenching. You definitely want to be on the other side of that victory.
Coach, it's also 2 straight times that you face Buffalo that Tua can't finish the game because last year they
That's
benched him
right.
because it became a blowout, and now this year due to injury.
Yeah, due to
Like,
injury. Yep.
Even when he does come back, there's like zero, like what confidence do you have the next time they face Buffalo if Tua is even back that you'll even compete with them?
Yeah. And you got to compete. And like if you want to be successful and be a playoff team, you definitely need to at least compete with the Buffalo Bills because they're in your way.
Yep.
They definitely are. They are the roadblock for this team potentially. So, fellas, round out Overreaction Monday. Your biggest overreaction from week 2 of the NFL season. I'm gonna go around the horn. T-Law, what you got?
For me, I don't think it's that crazy, but I think the Steelers are who we thought they were last year. As they started out 11-0 and they were trending downwards going into playoffs, and they got manhandled week 1. I just don't. I don't think they're a very good team, and I don't think they'll make the playoffs this year. They can't establish the running game once again. They're averaging 57 yards through 2 games when they drafted a running back in the first round for that reason. The offensive line isn't that great. Big Ben, I was skeptical when people were saying, his arm completely deteriorated, but I'm starting to see it now in the first 2 games. He's not even trying to throw the ball downfield as much. He might throw a jump ball here and there, but nothing more than that. And I just don't think they'll be able to establish the run game. Their defense is okay, but TJ Watt just got hurt. Devin Bush hasn't played yet coming back from the ACL, and Joe Hayden was out last week. So just not looking too good in the tough AFC North, and they haven't changed some of the problems they had in the playoffs last year and ending the season last year. So that's not a recipe for success in the tough AFC North. So I just feel like it's going to be the same result. I can see them going 8-9, but the playoffs aren't in their future, which is sad to say. And I don't think Mike Tomlin's ever going under 500 either. So this will be a first.
Yeah, big time. Cruz, what you got?
So I had 2 written down, but I feel like they're not out there enough. They're not Cruise Island worthy.
Uh-oh.
Here's what I'm gonna say.
Football season has started. We about to get a Cruise Island take. That's what I'm talking about. I've been waiting on this.
I'm gonna preface this with, I don't think it's a high likelihood that it happens, but at this point, what I've seen from this team, the first 2 games, more importantly, their quarterback, don't count them out. Don't count out the Bengals from being a wild card playoff team. I think the Bengals, they've looked good over the last 2 weeks. They obviously they beat the Vikings last week. They played well this past week against Chicago. Joe Burrow has looked really good. He picked up right where he left off prior to week 11 of last year. Jamar Chase, I think he was trolling when he said that whole, I can't really see the ball because there's the white stripes on. I don't believe that for a second. I just think
he was being too honest. I think he was being too honest in that conversation. Like, that's what I think.
I think
like he said something he shouldn't have said.
I think he was trolling 100%. The offensive line has looked better than I thought it would look going into week 3. Obviously, we all wanted them to take Sewell out of Oregon to protect Joe Burrow. He still has good weapons in T. Higgins. Joe Mixon is still Joe Mixon. I'm not saying they're going to win the division. I'm not even saying that they will make the playoffs, but I'm just saying don't count them out. I think they have a legit chance, especially with the way the AFC North is looking right now. The Steelers aren't looking that great. The Ravens, they kind of look good yesterday, except for, basically the first half. Lamar Jackson started out very, very poor. And then the Browns, they're the Browns. Yeah, they did good last year, but anything can happen with the Browns, and people aren't completely sold on Baker Mayfield. So I'm just saying, don't count them out.
Yeah. JP, what you
got? The Raiders, as good as they are, is going to go downhill this season. Gruden's going to be Gruden. I feel like they ain't going to be a playoff team. They're starting out hot, but something's going to happen between Gruden and Carl later in the season. And my other thing, I would say the Panthers might make the playoffs. They just might make the playoffs with the weapons they have and all that. I was going to go on a limb and say they might win the NFC South over the Bucks, but I'm just going to calm it down here just a little bit and just saying that the Panthers are looking really good at the right time, and they could end up probably might be a playoff team. That offense is looking really good.
Yeah. Mo, what you got?
I feel like personally attacking some quarterbacks today and giving praise to quarterbacks today. So I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna continue my streak. And this is forecasting the future. But the Browns are gonna pay Baker Mayfield, and they are going to regret it. Once again, 2 weeks in a row, we point out quarterbacks and what they've done. Baker Mayfield, good completion percentage, really good completion percentage this week. 19 to 21, a little over 200 yards, gave us a touchdown, also throws a pick. What did he do? He did what Jimmy Garoppolo does. He did what Kirk Cousins does. He did what Matt Ryan, what other, mid-range quarterback do I have to go? Like, he did what Jalen Hurts does. Like, he didn't lose the game. Essentially, that's what he did. The offense is running back centric. The offense, they run the ball. Kareem Hunt looks effective. Nick Chubb looks effective. Hey, Baker, we just need you not to turn the ball over. That's what he does. He's about to get at least probably $40 million for doing that. And they're going to regret it. So I'm for calling that Baker either A, Baker gets paid, or B, Cleveland screwed because they don't want to pay Baker Mayfield. And now they have a franchise tax and have to start over at quarterback, which essentially means their whole championship window will probably close because Baker if he gets paid anything near Dak or Mahomes or Allen or even what Lamar Jackson will end up getting paid, he's getting overpaid. So if they do pay him, they're going to absolutely regret it immediately because there's about 15 to 18 quarterbacks I could put him in front of Baker Mayfield to do what he does for Cleveland. Does nothing amazing, does nothing special. Throws for 300 yards and an interception last week. He doesn't even throw for a touchdown last week. He throws for 300 yards and an interception last week. So that's one. And two, I hate to do it, but I'm about to do it. I don't want to overreact because Zach Wilson's a bust. All right, I'm doing it. I'm about to do it. Only reason I didn't want to take away from him too much, but this is overreaction, and we see that rookie quarterbacks always have problems against Bill Belichick. Yes. But this is a problem where we saw this man threw 3 picks before he threw 3 completions. At a point in time in the game, he was 2 for 7 with 3 picks and 2 completions, finishes with 4 picks. I'm not saying maybe he plays great and I just look absolutely wrong. But Zach Wilson has been my most suspect person as far as a draft prospect at quarterback. I never loved him over Lance because I felt like Lance or Fields, whoever went to San Francisco, was going to go to the best situation. I never looked at him like he's better than Trevor Lawrence just because Trevor Lawrence been that dude since high school. I think Justin Fields is in a better situation in Chicago. Granted, his offensive line is bad. We saw that, which is why he couldn't get but so loose. But he's elusive, and he's going to be able to do some great things in Chicago. And Mac Jones is with Josh McDaniels and Bill Belichick. So if I would say anybody's in the worst situation, it would be Zach Wilson anyway. And he did nothing to make me think that he's even going to be remotely successful. And I'm going to kill him for all the people that killed Sam Darnold for the past 3 years. I'm going to do Zach Wilson that same way. Zach Wilson is a bust. I'm going to say it right here, right now on Overreaction Monday. After 2 weeks, I'm overreacting, and I'm going to tell everybody and their mama Zach Wilson is a bust, and he would not be in a Jets uniform by year 3. He'll be out of a Jets uniform by year 3. By year 3, he's going to get the Darnold treatment. He'll be out of a Jets uniform by year 3, and they will once again have to admit they got it wrong at quarterback.
Yeah, before we go with Jerry, what you got, Rob?
So I got one more. I was thinking about it earlier and I didn't write it down. We weren't able to mention them in the biggest surprise 0-2 teams because they haven't lost yet, but I think they will lose tonight. I think the Packers are going to lose tonight to the Lions. That team did not look good at all last week. I think we're gonna see a shocker. I think Jared Goff is gonna somehow pull it off. I think the Packers are losing tonight, and they will end by this time tomorrow. Will be the biggest surprise 0-2 team in the league.
We should pitch then. We should pitch for you calling that. We should clip that. And if that dude that bet $25 win his $700,000 because Detroit beats the Packers tonight, Rob should get a cut of that. He should get like $1,000 of that for calling that. So we should clip that and hit up the dude that's about to win $700,000.
Yeah,
I
and we
I'll hold on to a little bit.
I see the
and we
Packers
talked
losing
about
tonight.
that. Yeah, and we talked about that on See You Sunday, where the Packers have won 26 out of the last 29 matchups against the Detroit Lions at home. Woo,
That's a bold one, bro.
That's bold. Yes, they've only
Really bold.
Detroit has only won 3 times in Green Bay in 30 years.
Yeah, but that team last week did not look good. You saw what Jameis Winston was able to do to that team.
Yeah, do you think Jared Goff is going to do the same thing with no weapons? Well, if you guys want me to ruin it, Jared Goff is 2 for 2 for 54 yards right now on his first drive against the Packers. So I mean,
he completed a 46-yarder. He completed a 46
so
on Kevin King.
Right.
It's only
Rob is on time right now. So I mean,
I can see it.
And I
though.
didn't even know the game had started already.
Yeah,
they started it on time. That's been a thing.
Yeah, right. Jerg, what you got?
I got 2 quick ones here. So kind of like I said, because of my belief in the West Coast of the NFL this season, as of now, again, it's overreaction. So like to compensate for the fact that I'm not really the overreaction type, I need to go a little bit far with my overreactions. I believe that this year's Super Bowl champion will be one of the West Coast teams from either the AFC or the NFC West. Now, that doesn't mean I'm having Vegas going to the Super Bowl. Heck no, that ain't happening. But like to me, 3 of the top 6 Super Bowl contenders this season, or 7, are in the West divisions. It's the Chiefs, it's the Rams, and I still think San Fran is a Super Bowl caliber team. And then 2 dark horses that I know a lot of people love talking about are the Chargers and the Cardinals. So that's 5 teams between those 2 different conversations of true contenders and dark horses that are there. So it's pretty good odds for the West Coast to have the Super Bowl champion this year. And I think it's, if I'm not wrong, the Super Bowl's in SoFi this year. So even if it doesn't end up being the Chargers or the Rams, like a West Coast champion winning it on the West Coast this year, man, wouldn't that be a beautiful story for that stadium?
You should have dropped your nuts, Jerg, and tell us what 2 West Coast teams. I think 2 West Coast teams meet in the Super Bowl.
I'd love to see.
That's what I'm getting. I think 2 West Coast teams meet in the Super Bowl. I think the Chiefs play the Rams in the Super Bowl. That's what I've been rocking with all year. So go to Jerg's point. I think it's a West Coast Super Bowl in LA.
And let's make it an all LA affair. Rams Chargers.
That would be crazy.
Oh God, no way.
Let's be real here. It's going to be a Rams home game because there ain't no Chargers fans out there. But
that Chargers will be at the worst disadvantage in that situation. That would suck.
And my second quick overreaction is I think in the next 2 to 3 weeks, again, overreaction, I need to compensate here. I think Cam Newton will be on a team for the next 2 to 3 weeks because
Washington.
I think not even just Washington. I think I would honestly argue and try to make a case for Miami because Jacoby Brissett did not look good in his action with the Buffalo Bills. There's one or 2 more teams in my head that it's just like it's escaping me that they
Houston.
Great Houston.
Like Houston.
That's always an option. And this is why I kind of mentioned Vegas earlier. Like Thad kind of mentioned the Steelers and how they got rid of their offensive line last year. John Gruden purged whatever the offensive line of the Raiders was last season. We spoke about this last week on Bunts and Bruises, Coach. The Raiders' offensive line, 3/5 of it you don't trust. 1/5 of it you only started trusting last season, and the last 1/5 is Richie Incognito. So, if Derek Carr gets hurt within the next 2 to 3 weeks, John Gruden being John Gruden, Cam Newton may be going to Vegas. So, and I think he would look good in Vegas. I've seen Vegas, Cam Newton Vegas Raiders edits. He looks clean in the Vegas Raiders jersey. So I would love to see Cam Newton with the silver helmet on it. It's not going to be a lot of winning, and he's going to probably get even more hurt because of that old line. Yeah. But I think a new team for Cam in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
And the flair, the Vegas flair, his outfits and stuff, it's really Vegas centric. I mean, I can imagine the bright lights and those, his personality would definitely be there. But the biggest overreaction to me is, bro, we gotta put your boy to see the table for his MVP consideration. Derek Carr, he quietly putting up an MVP campaign.
So, well, y'all know who the MVP is gonna be, right?
Calvin. But
I'm gonna be right. Tom Brady.
Calvin.
Tom Brady
win the MVP, bro.
My other overreaction I had written down was Tom Brady is just now entering his prime.
Yeah,
because that boy looked good.
Brady thinks he can play till 50. Look,
man,
I called it. I called it on our preview show. Look, Brady is my MVP. Right now, he got 9 touchdowns. He looks flawless throwing the ball. The whole their passing offense looks like elite of the elite. There's no flaws. Everybody getting the ball. Gronk looks like the greatest tight end of all time. And after retiring for a season, Gronk looks as great as ever, which is scary for the rest of the world. The Bucs passing offense looks amazing. They're going to lose very minimal games. I think Tom Brady wins MVP. But I had said that prior. That was my MVP pick, so it's not my overreaction. But Derek Carr like quietly having an MVP season. But the Raiders end up I think the Raiders end up falling apart at some point to where
it's more like seat at the table. Like, we need to give him some respect. Not saying he's going to be the MVP, but he going to be at the seat of the table. But Tom Brady, it's to a point to me, it's almost like it's scary how good he is.
Is he real?
He's going to be 45.
He's not real.
He'll be 45 in August. 45.
He's not real.
He's going to play till he's 55.
He's 44 years old right now, and he has 9 touchdown passes in the NFL. The man won the Super Bowl at what, 43? 42? 43. 43.
40.
Won a Super Bowl at 43 years old. 45 was the mark where we think he cuts it off. Now he's telling us he may play till 50, and it's almost believable with the way he's looked through 2 weeks. I know, granted, it was against the Cowboys and the Falcons, so you would probably say 2 bad defenses, but still, the thing about it is these are professionals, and so no matter how bad a defense can be, Tom Brady still has to go out there and do this against other professionals who are also getting paid millions to play football. So he still has to go out there and look that great. And Tom Brady, I'm with you, Rob. Hey, Tom Brady might be entering his prime.
No. So I do agree with that. Tom Brady. I'm watching the game right now, and Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if you guys saw all the memes of Aaron Rodgers after his press conference. But the one that stuck out with the way his hair is said, this picture smells like cigarettes and Denny's. The first time going out with your dad after the divorce. And that's what I looked at right now. And
the Lions are up 7-0 too while we throwing that out there.
So Rob, you're right. But it's scary. And the thing about it is it's just the age. You look at his peers, they're all gone.
He said it. He's like, the time of quarterbacks, I look around, all these guys are young bucks who can run out the pocket. There is no Peyton Manning and Drew Brees and Big Ben. And, Big Ben's still there, but Eli Manning, Big Ben looks like a shell of himself. He looks like he better retire after this year, or I think the steel curtain will give up on him and be pissed off. But everybody that Tom Brady competed with and had to beat out for Super Bowls, essentially most of them are gone. Russell Wilson's still there entering his, in his prime, but pretty much everybody that he came up with through his prime, everybody is gone. We just saw Peyton go to the Hall of Fame. Peyton is now in the Hall of Fame. A guy that he competed with, one of the biggest QB rivalries we've ever seen in NFL history. One of them is still playing and winning Super Bowls, and the other is inducted into the Hall of Fame as a first ballot Hall of Famer. Just put that in perspective on how long Tom Brady's been playing.
It's not even Tom Brady's barely hanging on to whatever.
Right.
This dude still looks good.
He's a top 3 quarterback. He's a top 3 quarterback in the NFL right now. I don't care what anybody say. They can pull the talent, and I like Kyler over him because I think in 5 years, right now, today, Tom Brady's the top 3 quarterback. He's really probably top 2. I put him and Patrick Mahomes 1 and 2. You might even say so far he's looked like the best quarterback in football right now, but
because
it is only 2 weeks.
The top quarterbacks right now, they're all dual threat quarterbacks. Mahomes, Murray, Jackson, Deshaun Watson if he ever plays again. Heineke,
What are you laughing, Dad?
Because that's Cap. He's not top 10.
No, but we're just talking about quarterbacks in general.
But all the top quarterbacks, they're all dual threat quarterbacks,
except Brady.
And Mac Jones.
Hold on,
and Mac Jones.
To most point, by the way, of him going past his peers. If he actually plays till 50, he may even go past some of these guys from the next generation. Because in 5 years, Ryan could retire
than Zach Wilson.
Aaron Rodgers is probably going to retire in 5 years. He's not just going to. He's already outplayed his generation. He's going to outplay the generation of kids that watched him.
The 80 babies
in New England. Like he's going to outlast 2 generations worth of quarterbacks, and
Crazy.
the 3rd generation will be in their prime then, because in 5 years, Kyler, Lamar, Baker, Josh Allen, they're all going to be in their primes. Like he's really going to be there for the NFL's evolution, and he's still going to have all his rings. Is like, yeah, you're not on my level. Like I just do this all the time.
Only thing, Baker will be a bad contract partying with Johnny Manziel in 5 years. So that's that's all he's gonna be.
I'm going based off of age. I'm going based off of age. I'm not going based off.
No, and it's great. Like, dude, he's teammates with Charles Woodson. They used to go to school together. And he's still in the league.
Charles Woodson been like an analyst for forever.
Yeah,
the Heisman commercials and everything. Like when you just look at some of the guys he came in with, like they are long gone. Long gone. Like some of the guys that are 32 and 33 out of the league now, and not like Ryan Clark. Ryan Clark's what, like 35, 36 now?
Yeah.
Been out the league for a few years. And he's still playing at a Super Bowl level. Like his team has a chance. They're a favorite to win the Super Bowl after coming off of a Super Bowl. Like we're looking at, and we're like, when is he going to slow down? Everybody, you know what it's like. I hope I don't offend anybody. I hope we ain't all too religious. But you know what calling Tom Brady the end of his career is? It's like predicting Jesus is going to come back. Everybody going to tell you Jesus is going to come back. Eventually, somebody going to be right. If you say it enough, you going to be right. Everybody keeps saying Tom Brady, it's this will be his last year. He's going to fall off. Somebody's going to be right eventually and can finally say, I told you so. But it's going to take people 7, 8, 9 times. You know what I'm saying? We thought back in 2016, this might be it. He might be it. When the old Jimmy G was happening. Eventually, you'll be right and he'll be gone. But it's like
Kellerman will look slightly smart. Eventually. But you know what's crazy about Tom Brady, though? We talk about all the players that he's gone past and all that. One of his teammates at Michigan, he's now playing with his son. His son is a teammate of his on Tampa Bay.
I did see something about that. Yeah, I did see something about that. Yeah, that puts in perspective how long Tom Brady been in the league.
He's playing with Antoine Winfield Jr. Like
right. He played with Antoine Winfield Sr. Right.
Yeah, like we remember these guys. Like Patrick Surtain's son is in the league.
Like a Sunday Samuel Jr. They were literally his dad was literally on the same team.
Yeah, and like now you're playing against like your former teammates and guys that you competed against. Patrick Surtain, like you're going to be competing against like his son. You know, if the Bucs play the Broncos, like you're going to be throwing towards his way. Like maybe, me and my dad picked you off. Like they'll be like, hey, the Surtains are the first father-son duo to ever pick off Tom Brady. Like that's the type of history he's in the league to make right now.
Or Samuel, or Samuel.
And that's not even going to be like, look how great this lineage of cornerback family is. It's going to be to point out how long Tom Brady has been playing.
Exactly. Yeah. 1977. That's crazy.
He might play. Bro, he's like 2 years older than my mom, bro. And she's like he's in the league, bro. Like my mom's a grandparent. This man's in the league, like balling, like Super Bowl caliber quarterback. Like, let's just put that in perspective. Like, bro, I just hope I age like fine wine like that. I mean, I'm a little broken down, but you know.
Avocado ice cream in that TB12 cookbook.
I was gonna say, who is going to like? How can you not subscribe to the TB12 method after seeing all this?
Exactly.
How can you not do that?
And it makes right. And I'm thinking to myself, that's crazy.
Well, because if I pop for anything, I won't get a 4-game suspension. I get kicked out.
Facts. This is facts.
Literal facts. But yeah, man. So let's put a bow on this week's Overreaction Monday. Fellas, I'm gonna go around the horn. Social media, plug your projects. T Law.
What's good? Once again, appreciate you having me on, Coach. Me and Jelani got a podcast, What the Game Means to Me, on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And looking forward to being back on here and on Saturday before the Jaguars get their butt whooped by the Cardinals. So just looking forward to another depressing week 3. But I appreciate you having me on, though. It's always a good time.
No problem, T Law. We got you. Rob, what you got?
Y'all already know where you can find me. FNC Pod on Twitter, Football and Chill Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. No big projects coming up in the future. Definitely feels good to be back on Overreaction Monday. I feel at home where my ideas, they are out there, but you know, where else am I going to have these at other than Cruise Island? Probably in about an hour or so, I'm gonna go live over on Twitch, Football and Chill Gaming. I'm gonna play either a little bit of Warzone. My cousin put me on this new game called Splitgate, so I might give that a shot some point today. So if you're into gaming, definitely go check me out later on tonight.
Good. JP, what you got?
You can find me in Minnesota in Teals right now, going 0-2. But you can find me. You can find me on Off the Ball Network on YouTube. I just put out the Week 3 college football recap, and this week I'm gonna put out the NFL Week 2 recap too as well. So check us out on Off the Ball Network on YouTube. Check me out on Saturday night. This Saturday night when we do the NBA 2K League All-Star Game, I'm gonna be doing the post-game show on Dash Radio on Nothing But That channel. Shout out to Aaron and doing this thing too as well. Check me out. It's just JP on YouTube. Just put out a Michael Jordan reaction video, and that's blowing up as well as Larry Buzz. So just check me out on YouTube and check me out on Twitter, JP Franchise 57.
Yeah, it's all good, JP. We see them tears in Lake Minnetonka. It's all good, brother.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Mo, what you got?
Yeah, you can find me Up in Flames Pod on Twitter and Instagram. Mo_Cheese15 on Twitter and Instagram for my personal account. Probably got a solo show or two. I got to go on an Ohio State rant. Seems like it's gonna be a weekly rant this week. Another week, another disappointment. We win, and I'm still pissed off. We look horrible. So you'll see me there. Probably celebrate a little bit, talk about the Cowboys. But yeah, been doing a little bit more solo stuff just to be able to pump out a little more content. With my work schedule being a little tight. And of course, like I said, I'll see you Sunday, but the week is here. I got surgery on Thursday. So everybody watching, tuning in, y'all pray for me. So I have a long road to recovery once again, 1 year later, on my ankle.
Yeah. And shout out to Travion Henderson. Them 804 boys. I told y'all them 804 boys, dogs.
He's the only offensive guy who looked promising, and I'm excited about in two cornerbacks. Other than that, I killed the whole team.
Yo, that boy came through from the 804 and came to Columbus in January and blew up. That's
Baby Zeke, I love him. Baby Zeke, I love him.
I told you, 804, we some dogs. We some dogs. Jared, what you got?
First off, obviously, good luck to Mo on his surgery. He's going to get through it, and he's going to come back, and he's going to be better than ever. So we already know that's going to happen. For myself and my show, at Bunsen Bruises on Twitter, we just passed 100 followers, which is big for the show. We're really happy about that. Just released this past weekend our interview with Chris Carlin of ESPN. Fun, just about a half-hour interview with him. We just had a good time talking, cutting it up. It was just absolutely amazing to have. You get a little bit of the story. You got to listen to the pod to get the story of how it happened and the process of actually making the interview happen. So that's a fun little thing there. And of course, Bunsen Bruises season 2 now on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Because work dictates it. But yeah, and honestly, always love coming on the show with any of you guys. First non-B&B show I've done in a little bit because in part work is wild. Can't wait to get on more of these and get on shows with all the other guys soon. This was a while ago, but I know Mo's talking about John Gruden feeling some type of way. I know Mo's been feeling some type of way. It's been a while since I've been on Up in Flames. Mo, we will talk about it separately. I guarantee you I will return to Up in Flames sometime in the near future. But, always amazing to be on here. And everyone, make sure you follow the Off the Ball Network. It is the best 4-letter network in the world that covers sports. So make sure you follow it. All these amazing gentlemen that are on the show as well. Now let's get it rolling.
Yes, indeed. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, on the Couch Coach Live. Anyway, you get your podcast, Couch Coach Live. Tomorrow, show 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Fridays, watching football, guys, with my guy Rob. And then see you Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And then here, obviously, Overreaction Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you, gentlemen, once again for another Overreaction Monday, man. We are out. Appreciate it.